Hello everybody and welcome to another amazing video of DIY investing. For today's video, I have a very important update to break down some of my favorite investments going over this next cycle, some of the most undervalued projects that I think are going to be providing some of the biggest ROI potential given the course of this next 2 years. We're about to be seeing hundreds of millions of dollars injected back into some of these early projects, and when that happens, I'm expecting the prices of these to go up substantially. For today's video, I'm going to break it down, explain to you guys exactly why I think they're going to be going up so much, talk about my favorite picks for when this happens, and how we can be positioned early to capitalize on the moves ahead. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. With that being said, let's jump right into this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, here we are to start off today's video, and fundamentally we have one of the bigger catalysts when we're talking about cryptos and ecosystems that can be taking off in a big way. As you guys know, Midas has been breaking out, and it comes upon the news that they are going to be injecting $360 million in grant rewards back to some of the early projects. So when we're looking at the price of Midas, we've seen this big breakout, massive new volume coming in here to start the cycle, and if you're feeling like you missed out, I still think that there's going to be opportunities to get into this, which is why I'm kind of making the breakdown now. We have a fundamental catalyst to drive the prices higher, and when we're comparing and looking at some of the altcoins inside of the Midas ecosystem, guys, they're worth like less than $10 million in total market cap. So I just think that the upside potential is still absolutely massive, regardless of the short-term price of Midas. So if you're somebody working with, $10,000 or less than that, and you don't want to put money into something that's already pumped and that's sitting at like $400 or $500 million total market cap, then don't buy Midas. I'll share with you guys a few altcoins that will fit your budget and be a little bit more better things to invest in. But I think that we have to continue to look at the price of Midas to understand what the rest of the tokens are going to be doing. When it comes to the short term of Midas, we just broke out of this range high. This was kind of like our bear market bottom, right? And once we broke out of this, we confirmed the reversal. So I still think that we're going to be heading upwards to the top of this lower high before we're over, which is like $175 approximately. And I do think that we could see a correction follow shortly after that. Now, this is where if you're somebody that doesn't want to buy the green candle, wait for this dip to get in here, because that would be a good opportunity. It would just be this big breakout, this big kind of retest, and to me it would look kind of like what ETH did when it broke out of like $300 and consolidated right there before we went to 4,500. It would just be a bigger version of that because it's got less market cap. But we see here that there's a big fundamental reason for why there's going to be so much more money coming into the ecosystem, and the better that the price of the token of Midas does, the more money this becomes inside of the grants, the more money they're going to be distributing back to these projects, because this $360 million isn't valued in dollars, it's valued in Midas. So if the value of Midas goes up in dollars, the amount of money in the grant is going to be higher. So if the price of Midas, climbs all the way up to $175, almost doubles in price, okay, it'd be like 90% in price, almost doubles in price, the value of this grant is going to double in value. So that's even more money that they're going to be injecting into these protocols. So let's talk a little bit about which of these altcoins I'm invested in, which ones I think are going to be blowing up the most, and ones you most definitely want to be watching moving forward from here. So the first one on today's list is going to be NetSwap. This is the main swap DEX, and this one has a little bit more of a sketchy, fully diluted. So be aware that I'm putting this one first because A, I've made the most money off of this one. It's the most overvalued, and B, C, and D, I think that it has a little bit more, downside risk in comparison. I do also think that the upside risk is high. So if you're talking about a home run, zero to hero type play, I like NetSwap just because of the fact, it's either going to do really, really well, or they're going to have a bunch of token unlocks. There's going to be a bunch of developers and, founders dumping on everybody, and it actually stifles some of that upward appreciation. I don't know. But the big thing here is this one's probably going to be receiving some of the bigger grants, considering it's the leading DEX and swap platform for Midas. So that's kind of the reason why it's already started to break out so high. In the shorter time frames, I think that this one's going to be running up to the top of this lower high before this move is over, and then from there we'll probably see a big correction back down. I think the best thing that you can probably do, even if the market breaks out and makes this massive move, makes this new high, I still think that the best strategy you can do is wait for the correction to buy anything long term. And if you absolutely feel like you 100% need to have exposure and you don't care about the short-term price, get amount that you feel comfortable with losing as a potential moon bag, a zero to hero type hold, and put it in the market. That's really all you can do. And that's what I did when I invested into this. I actually held onto this for an 80% loss. It wasn't like I nailed the bottom or anything. I bought this at 26.5 cents. So like right there. And it dropped like 82, 83% before it started going up. And sometimes that's the way that these markets are going to move. You know, sometimes you got to hold on to a big loss. I always talk a lot about when I look at 5 different altcoins that did 100x for me, I think it was at least 3 of those that I held on to at least a 60% loss. Some of those were even more than that. And that's just the way the market works. With NetSwap, I think that this one's going to continue to lead, and it's already showing why it's going to continue to lead, being the main swap DEX. Probably going to get the biggest grant in comparison with all of the other projects. And when we're looking at all of that, I think that fundamentally it's got a lot of catalyst for upside appreciation. It also has the most risk considering it's pumped the hardest. So if you're somebody that doesn't want to, you know, buy anything pumping, just wait for a big correction. Because if we were to come all the way back down and retest this prior range on some type of correction like that, that would be a once in a lifetime sort of opportunity, considering the way that we would swing back to the upside would be so massive that, you know, I just think that there could be a lot of upside potential long term. Metis is going to go through a corrective phase of some kind after this move. And that's really where we're going to be wanting to get the majority of our exposure inside of this market. Considering these ones that have pumped really hard and are probably going to keep pumping a little bit in the short term, these are going to be the ones providing the biggest opportunity considering they have the smallest market cap. They're going to pump the highest and then they're going to fall the lowest on the way back down. Now next up is going to be Tethys. This is going to be the GMX of MetaStyle, and we're looking at a fully diluted valuation of 9.4 million. So I really like the tokenomics. That means that there's not going to be, you know, founders, token unlocks and things like that to add sell pressure towards you. You know, founders can take profits and do that regardless, but having all of those token unlocks really kind of messes with the long-term price appreciation. As it stands, I love this setup because it looks just like the Wall Street cheat sheet, where disbelief is where you start breaking out of this bottom formation, and that's literally where Tethys is right now. We're looking at the exact same setup, just breaking out of this range, and I think that where we're going to be headed long-term is just so absolutely massive. I mean, just to the all-time highs, I don't know if I'm getting it on the exact price, but that's like an 8x, and with only $10 million, sub 10 million total market cap, these are the ones that when they start going, they just fly so hard, and they absolutely dwarf their prior cycles. And so if there's going to be $300 to $600 million worth of grant rewards being injected into some of these, and they're not even worth $10 million total market cap, I just find it so likely that the amount of upside potential we're going to gain by investing into some of these is huge. You know, NetSwap's a little bit more overvalued. I'm not going to lie with that, and I'm being honest with you guys. I'm already up a lot. I'm not going to even try and bullcrap around with you guys. This one, it's more undervalued. I think that this one's a great setup. You guys know how bullish I am on GMX with Arbitrum, and you know, I bought this one because I'm so bullish on GMX and Arbitrum. I figured that with this being a fork of that, we would probably end up seeing it do really well, considering GMX has absolutely great tokenomics. The amount of money that they can earn on their exchange and provide that back to the liquidity pool, I just think is something that we're going to see a lot of these dexes migrate to. And with this one just nearing that breakout, you know, even if we fly in the short term, this might be one of those that you don't get a better opportunity to buy than right here. Considering if we make this big move and we go through this big corrective phase, you know, we might not ever come all the way back down to this range again. We might just hold support on top. I don't know, guys. I really don't know. At the end of the day, wait for the correction if you're too scared about buying right now. But this is the one that I wouldn't personally be scared about buying, considering we just broke out. So that's Tethys. Now next up is going to be Maya. This one is going to be a DAO built on this ecosystem. Fully diluted valuation of 8.5 million. Currently flipping the range highs as support. I think we're about to be going into price discovery next, and chances are we could come all the way up to the top of this lower high, being like 116 to like $141 before we ever see any type of correction. This is another one of those examples where I don't know how low they're going to come back down on the way for the correction. Are we going to come back down to the same price, or are we going to hold better support and just kind of keep uptrending, you know, and never get a better entry? Some of these will give us a better entry. Like when I look at NetSwap, I can't help but feel like we'll probably have the opportunity to buy at a lower price than where we're at right now. When I look at Tethys, it's kind of leaving that territory where like this might be the last opportunity we can buy at this price. When I look at Maya, it's also kind of in that same situation at Tethys, where if we do get an opportunity to buy at this price, chances are it's going to be right around the exact price that it is now. So for me, it's like, you know, I might as well buy it now and potentially get to hit that year-long threshold for my tax bracket so I can qualify for long-term capital gains. You know, that is more or less my strategy. But even then, if you waited for the correction, we're taking profits into year 2025. So you still have 2 years to go. Even if you waited for the correction, you'd still probably hit that threshold for the 1 year inside of the tax bracket stuff. So I think that regardless, If you wait for the sell-off, it's probably not the worst idea either. But when we're looking at this one has another token inside of its ecosystem, and that's going to be called Hermes. Both of them look pretty similar. I'm actually invested into both. But when I come over here and look at the chart of Hermes, this one looks a little bit better in a lot of ways. So far, the volume is bigger, much bigger breakout volume. We broke out of our all-time descending resistance with this move. We're currently flipping the mid-range as support. I do believe on the shorter time frames, this looks pretty bullish, like we're going to see continuation from here like that. And we're about to start a much bigger move to the upside. This one is just sitting at the mid-range of this cycle. I think that this one can have a pretty decent sized move into this next impulse. And this one is probably one of those that we won't have the better opportunity to buy at a lower price than where we're at right now. The other ones are a little bit more iffy about that. Net swap, I think we will get a better opportunity to buy. But when we're talking about Hermes and Maya, both of these are at that point where it's like, you know, it's hard to say whether we're going to get a better price to buy right now. And that's why, for me, you know, at this exact price, I'm pretty much break even on this. So, I mean, you guys are actually getting in at my price on this one. When it comes to Tethys, I am in a little bit of profit, but not that much. When it comes to net swap, I'm in a lot of profit. So I just want you guys to be aware of that beforehand. But with this one, I'm actually at my break even, or maybe, you know, slight profit, or even at a loss. I know I bought right around this point right here. So out of all of these, this one is probably one of those that the chart looks really solid, the market cycle looks solid, the volume looks solid, and it's at my exact entry. I wouldn't even feel bad about adding to my position right here, considering how well some of my other investments in this ecosystem have already done. So watch out for Hermes. And if you want the DAO connected to this, that's called Maya. Now, next up is going to be Hera. This one is going to be an AI multi-chain DEX. And when we're talking about this one so far has kind of performed the best. It's kind of led the way when we're talking about all these altcoins. It's been doing well, as all of the other ones have kind of lagged and waited to break out. And so as it stands, this one seems to show the most strength. And I think that where we're at right now, if we came back down to retest this trend line, we'd probably have a really good opportunity to get in at a good price. However, this one is one of those charts where, because it's only ever uptrended and we've never had any major correction, the risk is higher because we don't have as much of a reference point to judge from. With all of these others, they have all of these like market cycles. So with us just barely breaking out, we're just playing it level to level, and we know that we still have certain areas that we need to hit. When we're coming over here and looking at Hera, it's only maintained higher highs and higher lows, and it's currently in price discovery. Well, short-term, you know, breakout, and we're currently retesting the breakout. So where we'd be going next is price discovery. So it's a little bit at a different point. And that's why for me, I actually bought this one just as a set it and forget it hold, because it's at a high point. I didn't know if it was going to get any lower. I didn't know if it was just going to start blowing up in value and I'd get priced out from being able to buy it further down the line. I didn't know what was going to happen. So I ended up just getting the position and I'm just holding it. I don't really care. I think that I'm actually down in the position right now. So you'd be getting it at a better point than what even I bought it. So that's just one that I'm watching for. AI is going to be something so hype, and even if you're just putting that inside of the bio, I think people are going to buy it regardless. And with this one being one of the leading projects in the Midas blockchain, if they get a decent amount of grant, it's only going to help this project long term. So watch out for Hera. Alrighty guys, next up is going to be Hummus. This is going to be a stablecoin swap. And when we're looking at this one looks very bullish. Massive breakout volume. We broke out of descending resistance. We're sitting on top of descending resistance as support. I believe we're about to get continuation back up to the all-time high, and most likely we'll probably end up breaking out from that. This is another example of one that we may not buy at a better point than where we're at right now, regardless of a correction, because these ones can start breaking out so much that even in a big correction, a 60, 70, 80% move, it might still not even come back down to these levels. So I don't know for sure. I'm pretty much at break even on this one too, so I'm just going to be holding what I have and just seeing where it goes from here. But I do think that this one's one of the better setups in comparison. I've kind of left this one towards the end for people that are actually paying attention to the video and want some juicy signals, because this one is one that I think is a good buy. It's pretty much at my entry, like I said, so it's not like you're going to have me dumping on you by any means, but you know, I wouldn't do that anyways. Every one of these I'm holding to the end of the cycle, so I just want you guys to be aware of that. If I were to take profits on any of these, I will make a video and tell you guys that I did so, just to be aware for anybody that wants to go out and accumulate any of these. I bought every one of these as a hold for the whole cycle. So I bought these at the beginning and midpoint of last year. So that was kind of my plan, was just to, you know, put them away in my ledger, set it and forget it. A couple years down the line when all of the markets blow up, take profits and be happy with what I got. And that's pretty much my same thought process. I'm not going to be switching that up by any means. I just wanted to break them down before they start to break out, because I think that there's going to be a lot of upside potential moving forward from here. So watch out for Hummus. Alrighty guys, last up on today's video is going to be GameFi or Revenant. This one has a $3.5 million market cap and it's a gaming platform built on Midas. So when we're looking at this one, I absolutely love this setup, considering this is just a one wave impulse and we just started wave 3, I believe we're about to be going into price discovery very soon. This was just a retest of our range highs, and I actually was holding on to this one for a pretty massive loss. I am in a little bit of profit. I believe that we bought this at like 60, about 70 cents approximately. Not 100% sure, but I am in a little bit of profit so far, about 1.5x. However, I do think that this one's going to be going into price discovery next, and if that's the case, this is the only one out of all of them on the list that isn't, you know, has like a prior cycle besides maybe Hera. Hera has been in price discovery virtually the whole time, but this is another one that's just barely in price discovery too. So the upside potential when they break their all-time highs and go into price discovery is absolutely massive. And with this one being a wave 3 impulse coming here and the volume to match it, I think that this one could absolutely send it in a massive way. 3.5 million market cap is not much. I am very bullish on the gaming narrative going into this next cycle. Regardless of the chain, I think that as long as you pick good gaming projects built on them, whatever the top ones are, you'll make a lot of profit. And this one is the top one inside of Midas. So if you want to check them out, I'm going to link every single one of these in the description, probably just linking the CoinGecko so that you guys can find them yourselves. I don't want to go through all the time on finding exactly where I swapped for all of these because I literally don't remember. Like I said, I bought a lot of these, some of them a year ago. Midas I bought over a year ago, and some of them, you know, midpoint last year that I bought. So I don't really want to go through all of that, but I will link everything in the description. I will link all of the tokens so that you can find them, find the markets on CoinGecko and things like that. It's not hard to do all of that just from CoinGecko. So with that being said, guys, thank you all so much. I love you. I appreciate you guys. Wanted to hook you up with some of my favorite altcoins going over this next rally. I think these ones are going to blow up. They have a fundamental catalyst for why they're going to blow up. And the more that the price of Midas goes up, the bigger that the grant is going to be. So I think that this one's going to be absolutely massive. Check them out. Links are in the description. And with that being said, I'll catch you in the next one. As always, peace out.